almost in every instance where we've had some sort of incident, there's somebody who's avoided doing what they know is right. It's not a lack of knowledge, it's just a lack of urgency or a lack of attention, because they've been in that dangerous situation for so long they've forgotten that it's dangerous.
That's right.
I'm still a little bit nervous, right?
Yeah.
Like I haven't
I think
lost.
everyone should be.
I haven't.
Time.
I haven't lost my nervousness when I go into like a compressor site, a high pressure situation with 28% H2S.
Yeah.
That I'm aware. I think with the procedures and the equipment we have in place, we can be a safe industry, but you have to follow the procedures.
I'm excited to introduce to you my latest podcast, Run It Like You Own It. In this podcast, we're going to explain how you can use the science of human behavior to gamify the workplace.
The Run It Like You Own It podcast with Wouter D'Ailly.
So, John, I'm absolutely thrilled that you came to join us today. It's I've loved working with you for the last few years, and hopefully we're going to work together for a few more months or
Right.
so the project comes to a natural end. But before we get started, I really want to point something out to you. We read the contract properly, and in the contract, we made it clear that there weren't going to be any brown M&Ms and that there'd be a bowl of M&Ms available. So, so John, if you're worried that we haven't set you up for success, I just encourage you to try and find a brown M&M.
Exactly. My speaking engagements always have that same rider in my contract. So thanks for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we're going to be careful to make sure we follow it. So, John, shortly after we first met, we were having a conversation, and you referred to a little bit about what you'd done in the past in your overseas work. And I remember being absolutely astounded at the depth and the breadth of your oil and gas experience. Can you kind of give us just a quick little rundown resume of where you are, how you got here, how you ended up at Cavvy?
Wow.
I know it's a big ask. I know the list is long.
It's a bit of a long story. And it starts with really my grandfather, who was very active in the drilling world, with Mobil Oil, Shell, all the super majors. He was the guy that they brought out to site when they wanted to drill a well that was new discovery. So he's been a part of big discoveries.
Yeah.
One of the big discoveries that he was a part of was the Jumping Pound 1, which brings us full circle to where I'm at today, which was kind of interesting for me, like really historical. And then my father also was very active in oil and gas. And so I grew up around drilling and towers and talk and understood the business early. And I had my first job in the oil and gas industry at 16.
Oh my.
And I haven't stopped, at 62. So, so I kind of immersed in it, fell in love with it. I like the whole thought of it, like the freedom that you get in oil and gas. I didn't know that I could find another career where I could do kind of whatever needed to be done when it had to be done. So, I look back at it and I think some of the things that I said that I would do, not knowing what I was getting into, just saying, oh, well, that seems interesting, I'll give it a shot.
Right.
I did those things, and sometimes I still sometimes wonder, what was I thinking? Why did I think that I could actually pull that off? And more recently, in the last 15 years, I went into an international operation of having done quite a few things and worked in, and the job was really kind of out there in terms of trying to build a gas plant in Papua New Guinea. And that with a company that had just bought into Papua New Guinea and bought into a partnership with another company that was actually operator. And so my job was to go into the other operator's office, the single employee for the company that I work for, and make sure the project moved in the way that my company wanted it to move, and made sure that everything was done. So it was really moving to a different country. I was moved to Australia. I didn't have any social connections there, no work connections that, on the same time clock, and bungeed into what could have been a very, very hostile environment, because I was from the outside coming in, supposed to tell everybody how to build this gas plant and do this project. And I look back on that and I said, why did I think I could pull that off? But what I found is I was able to pull it off because one of my big things that I think has helped me in my career and is I genuinely like to meet and connect with people. And it didn't take me, really very long before they could see, I was a human being. I was just looking out for what was best for the project, which is what they wanted. We had the same common goal, but we needed to have that connection. And, I think as you move in the corporate management, you start to lose that connection if you're not careful.
Right.
And you get too focused in on the bottom line of the business and how everything's working and where's our cash flow and what's our NOI, and you potentially could lose track of the people. And for me, I've been reluctant to move into senior executive management because I didn't want to lose the connection with the people. And that's what I find most difficult about the job is I get a circle of people that are around me that I can influence through connection, but if I'm not in that circle, I find it difficult to connect. Right. And I think if I had one strong suit that's kept me in the business for as long as I've been, that's been my strong suit, is my ability to try to connect with people one-on-one or in groups or small groups. And, what I recognized with the kind of recent changes into the executive is I could lose connection with the people that I cared about in the field. When I started this whole adventure, I always thought I would be a field guy. Right. I started working in the field. I worked drilling rigs and service rigs on the service side of things. I found Nirvana when I actually started working for a production company, and wow, this is interesting, and you get to understand all of this parts. I always just wanted to be the field engineer, and that would have been a career for me. But that wasn't in the cards. There was a lot of influences that pushed me to where I am today.
I remember a line from Lee Iacocca, who said that every time he got a promotion, he thought the promotion would give him more power to do things, but it actually took him one layer away from being on the floor where things happened, and it became tougher and tougher and tougher to get his work done. And so your fear of losing touch with the front and the field is you're not alone in that fear.
No, and I think there's a real danger that we get to executive levels and we forget that there is people that are working, and I haven't forgotten. But I find it more difficult now because when I go out to the field, like a field office now, I'm expected to, be the corporate face of the organization. And, I go out and I want to connect more generally with everybody or one-on-one, but it has to be a corporate message.
Right.
So I'm delivering corporate message after corporate message, make sure everybody's on track. And I can accept that as that's my job, and I get it, but I do like the connection. And what I liked about Forefront, and you in particular, is that you were able to connect one-on-one because you could spend the time in the field to do those connections. You understood what we wanted as a corporation and where my head was at with with growth and how I feel about the field staff and the people on the front lines, I believe that's where the value is created. I've always believed it because I was a part of it. And I was always wondering, why is the executive making that decision? That makes no sense. They should be doing this, this, and this. Well, finally, I'm in the executive, and I get to see, okay, this is why we were doing that. But how do you relate that message down, without having somebody to connect to? And so I really appreciated that, Forefront has come forward for us and was able to kind of, here's where we want to go. We really want people to drive the business and run it like they own it. But I can't spend a week at a time in one site connecting. Whereas we were able to bring Forefront in reasonably early in my tenure to kind of accomplish that, which has been fantastic for the company, and it kind of gets us where I want to be.
Yeah, I have the advantage of the luxury of time. I know you come out to site, you're on site 3, 4, 5, 6 hours.
Right.
And everyone wants to speak to you. And I can go into a control room and spend 6 hours in the control room.
Right.
Alone, talking to half a dozen people.
Yeah.
And particularly when you go in on a night shift. I mean, they'll talk with you all night long.
Right.
One of my favorite questions always is, because you always hear the complaint. No one understands what happens in head office.
Right.
And that's okay. You don't need to understand how they manage the control room either. Just that they're doing it and that you're doing your part. But one of the questions I love to ask back is, well, if you were John or you were Darcy or the CEO or king for the day, and depending on how I word it, is what would you do?
Yeah.
And then it kind of puts them on pause a little bit. And you get them to think about it. And then I challenge them with the questions that they normally ask me.
Right.
Well, that's kind of dumb, isn't it? Because wouldn't that cause this? And that kind of conversation, that dialogue elevates everyone's learning.
Right.
And increase some confidence. But you have a special gift. I don't know if you realize that you have a special gift when you go out there, is that somehow you get instant credibility when you're in front of the group. And no one sees a political bone in your body. But I know that you've struggled at times when you get up there. It's like, I got to deliver some really bad news.
Right.
And I don't want to sugarcoat it, but I don't want to depress everyone either. And then the opposite is true as well. I got some great news, but I don't want them to think that we can take our foot off the gas pedal and relax, because we're not there yet.
I think that what's helped me in those difficult situations where I need to come out and kind of deliver not great news, right? And tough messages. I think what's really helped me in that is I've been on the other side. I've had to listen to bad news, and I've been a part of it. Yeah. And hopefully people understand that I have empathy for what they're going through and what that means. And I've had to go home and tell my wife, well, guess who got laid off today, right? And I never thought it would ever happen to me. Like no way. How could anyone ever let me go? But it's not always your fault. It's just a situation that you're in. Now, when a project gets canceled and you're the project manager, you're getting laid off. Yeah. Like, you might find another project later, and so I've been there, and it's there's got to be empathy, and that's got to be part of the connection, and I think that may give me some amount of credibility. I don't know.
Well, during your tenure at Cavvy, there have been ultimately there's been reductions in staff that have gone through, but I know just because we spoke a lot, I know that you've always been frustrated with them. You've always wanted to be very, very cautious, and because it's a one-way street when you go down that path. And so I know that many of those around you are anxious to, come on, let's go. We have to do this, and we have to move. I think part of the credibility that you gained was, let's do it once, let's do it right, let's do it appropriately, and let's make sure that we end up with an organization that's going to be it's going to be successful and stunning at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's not a decision anyone takes lightly on the executive. It's from a purely numbers thing.
Yeah,
the numbers make sense. You should be doing this. But if you think about the human element and what you're trying to accomplish, how do you build a team when the team is living in fear of repercussions, or, geez, if I do this, am I going to be? And I don't want people to think that way at all. Well, look, I try to go to bat for the people that are putting in the effort and moving the company forward. And you never say never, but I'm hoping that the company is moving into a period of stability that instead of the cutbacks, we'll be looking for growth. And I think that will be the interesting shift for us all. We've been so focused in on kind of getting by and surviving. Now we have to put this mentality on across the organization of, okay, now we want to grow. What are the best ways to do that? And again, it all comes down to, the people that we have on staff. Like, I haven't come up with one good idea since I've been at Cavvy. All of the growth in the company, is generated from the bottom up. Like, we've done some good things as a management team to get there, and we've made some very prudent decisions. Hedging was one of them, especially now. So we've put the tools in place, but we're not actually the ones that are actually driving the business forward. That happens on the ground, and that's I need those people, and I can't alienate them.
There's when I first showed up on site, there was definitely a culture of woe is me.
Right.
It's like, there's nothing we can do. We're a lousy operator. There's no money. The prices are low. Prices are going to be low for a long time. It's I want to bail. I want to get out of here, and right. I want to bail. It was definitely a pervasive feeling of that. I don't know if you see it, because, when your visits, they're intermittent, and you only get kind of one little glimpse. I walked into the control room last Wednesday, and historically it's always been frustrating. There are 4 or 5 people around, they're all sitting around and
right.
effectively sleeping in their chairs. And, what do you got for us today, Wouter? What's going on? And this time it's like no one had any time for me. They're all busy. They're all chasing projects, and guys were coming and going, and there's lots of things happening.
Right.
They didn't have time, and they're interested. They were challenged. They were challenging each other. One guy was learning, and he was asking some tough questions on why and how we were doing stuff. You would not have recognized that room from that room.
Yeah.
2 years ago or 3 years ago.
And I think what we stepped into, like, I came in from the outside into the organization at a very challenging time.
Yeah.
And what we stepped into and recognized fairly early is kind of the defeatist attitude that you're describing.
Yeah.
And it takes time to recognize that a defeatist attitude will lead to defeat.
Yeah.
And we had to be very pointed in our description of the situation, because the company was teetering. I don't think that wasn't a surprise. And we were on the verge, but I always believed that the people that we had on staff, from my experience in meeting a few of them early on, I could tell that there was a lot there. There was a lot of character, and there was a lot of intelligence, and a lot of good training.
Yeah.
What they had defeated out of them or pulled out of them was the ability to make decisions on their own, the ability to make smart decisions and feel safe in making decisions. And I think if there's one thing that the organization, and certainly from the top, from Darcy down, has been, look, we can make a few mistakes, right? We'll take a mistake that was meant for something to try to improve, right?
Yeah.
And we're ready for that. Like we will take that, and there won't be repercussions for those types of mistakes.
Yeah.
And we've had mistakes, and we have our setbacks. But we're not.
But you're learning.
We're learning, and people are learning, and we're moving the company forward. We're competing on a level that I don't think anyone would have thought possible from on the ground in the field. Like I felt it was possible because I could recognize the talent. If there's one thing that I've learned in 40 years is you can tell who's got their act together, and the company, I won't say the name because we're trying to hold to, but I recognized the talent was there. It just needed the freedom to grow, and we're still very much on that path. And we as an organization are nowhere near being where we'd like to be in that regard. And Forefront is one initiative that we've kind of put towards the field. But we're also very interested in bringing that to the Calgary office and making sure that we're performing to the level that the field is trying to perform to, right? And we've got a lot of growth, that needs to happen to get to where we really want to get to.
Well, I put, I don't know, maybe this is a little unfair because I don't have any objective metric to put it against, but I've put your control rooms today at some of the best control rooms you'll see in any plant anywhere. People are engaged and they're focused and they're trying to solve problems and they want to optimize the operation. Now, the different control rooms are at different levels.
Yeah.
But that the culture has switched from standby mode, let's see what's going to happen, to optimization mode. Let's see what we can do. That has definitely happened.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no question about that.
It's so critical in the province of Alberta right now to have the best teams.
Yeah.
There's this consolidation going on in the industry again. Like we're seeing that certain companies are coming in and buying out other companies. So we're going to consolidate every time we have these downturns, longer term downturns in pricing.
Yeah.
There's a period of consolidation. That's the same for facilities.
Yeah.
And what we've said repeatedly is kind of the strongest and the best run facilities will survive. And
right.
I think we're proving that out in kind of our operations right now. If you put in the work, you can attract people to your facility whereas nobody wants to come to a facility that's about to be shut down.
That's right.
So you have to show that you have a facility and a company that is looking forward, not looking to shut things down.
And undoubtedly it might have happened, but I can't recall the last time that we lost a star operator to a competitor. I know back in the day we had, but I'm trying to think, when's the last one that we lost? We lost someone that a real contributor.
Yeah, a year or so ago.
That we felt.
Yeah, we really felt bad when that person left us.
And so that's always an indicator for me. When
right.
HR often they track turnover in organizations, and it's to me it's sometimes a little bit of a false metric. It's an important metric, but you gotta be a little bit careful as you do it, because as you pursue excellence, those in the bottom of the list tend to self-eliminate, and so that's not necessarily so bad. Those that really want to contribute tend to move up in the organization. But over a long period of time, it's like, are you keeping your stars? Are you keeping the guys that really make the organization work, that put their heart, their mind, and their soul in the organization every day? trying to solve the problems. Those are the ones that really hurt when you lose them. And I don't recall the last. Well, you said it was about a year ago. I don't.
Maybe a year and a half or something like that. I recall.
Which is excellent.
I mean, that has been good, and it's been a pleasant turnaround. Attrition was fairly high when I joined the organization. Obviously, I came on board as a result of attrition. That somebody, a good performer, said, "Oh, I'm out. This is looking too scary." So, I came to the situation, I think that is correct. We need to do more work there.
Right.
We really need to focus in on growth as an organization, and part of that growth is figuring out where we're going next. And we try to fix the underlying base business, but now we have to take that next step, that next evolution, which is really going to require everybody to kind of go, okay, we're not just focused on the things, we're going to stay focused on making the business run better.
Right.
But now we have to start focusing on, okay, how are you going to grow? And we've got some ideas about that, and we're kind of putting those chess pieces on the board at least.
Yeah.
But we've got a ways to go to get there.
Well, I know they're being talked a lot now. There's a couple of initiatives that are coming down the line. I think there's an LOI that's going to be published sooner than later. That an open secret that everyone's talking about. It's creating a lot of enthusiasm and interest because again they see a future, and so we got through the survival mode, and now hopefully we're looking into a future mode. And
it's different mindset. It's a different mindset, not just for the frontline staff. It's a different mindset for us as the executive.
Right.
And the executive is recognizing that to make that next step, we have to have the Calgary office pulling together as a well-oiled machine, and we have to have people in the Calgary office that support the field, all on the same message and moving forward and looking for growth.
Well, so that kind of brings me to you and I spoke about this probably a year and a half ago. It's been, in my opinion, it's been an ongoing theme. And I know it hasn't been for you, but between the different sites, the three different sites operate very, very differently.
Right.
And I challenged you one day. It's like, are you trying to centralize all those centralized functions? Supplier management was what comes up, safety, optimization opportunities, division of capital, whatever it is. Or do you want to decentralize it and give the flexibility to the different sites and take advantage of the local knowledge? So kind of changing those. And to me, I think that's a management strategy. Are you going to bias towards centralization or bias towards decentralization? And I think it's only coming now. It's coming where it's got to be real. Now we have to.
Right.
There's has to be much more explicit decision.
It's a bit of push and pull. I don't think there's a conscious bias towards one or the other. It does make sense when you're in an environment, a price, your product isn't worth a lot of money. You need to be looking for everything that you can to reduce the cost of services. So when you talk about supplier management, I'm a proponent of having some scale, so we're not buying the part at a premium, right? So we're looking for a discount. So supply chain management has been a bit centralized, and I'm a proponent of it, especially in this environment.
Right.
We need to be looking at every advantage to reduce our cost.
Right.
So I've supported that initiative. I do like the autonomy of the leaders on site, though, to manage their business, run it like they own it, and we put out a budget. We expect our leaders in the field to deliver on that budget. But I'm not overly prescriptive on exactly how they do that. Like, I have oversight on things, and there's some things I say, I hold back on that. I don't want to spend money on that right now. What's that priority? We have that discussion. But overall, I don't feel like the field leaders feel like I've got my thumb on them on how they do things. That's just not my nature. I believe that they're going to make the right decisions. We've set the parameters for them to make those decisions, but a lot of it's left to them to run their organization.
I get the sense over the last couple of years that there's definitely been a trend towards the decentralization of certainly the local decision making and giving them the flexibility and the choice of what to pursue as kind of their major initiatives. I think that they see that. I think that they feel that as well. And while, they're very restricted in the capital they can spend for obvious reasons in how they're pursuing or how they angle or how they propose, I think you've been remarkably responsive to them. Yeah. And so each one of them I know has their pet projects, and then each one has been able to forward their pet projects. Don't misunderstand when I say pet. Pet doesn't mean that they're not profitable. It just means what they think is the highest
where their focus is.
Where their focus is.
Yeah.
And each one of them has been able to forward those projects and make them happen.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
It's a balancing act. There's a bit of danger for the organization in total autonomy. Especially when we talk about health and safety. I don't want to compromise on those initiatives. I understand that there may be better ways of doing it, but we need to come to consensus on health and safety. Yeah. And I want to, that'll be a focus here, is making sure that all the sites are behaving in the same manner, right? The best practice. And I get that, well, why are we doing it this way? Well, if you have a better way, show me the better way, and we'll get it pushed through the company. Right. But I do want everybody to have the same concept on health and safety. We run a very challenging business in regards to health and safety in terms of sour gas, high pressures. Yeah. Every kind of construction or not construction, operational problem we encounter with our organization. Like, we've got a lot of things that could trip us up if we're not careful. Right. And, if there's one thing that concerns me, it's making sure that people are looking after themselves and looking out for each other. We almost in every instance where we've had some sort of incident, there's somebody who's avoided doing what they know is right. Right. It's not a lack of knowledge. It's just a lack of urgency or a lack of attention because they've been in that dangerous situation for so long they've forgotten that it's dangerous. That's right. So we need to kind of make sure that our focus on health and safety hasn't let up.
I think that health and safety is probably the last area that you've kind of gone through and made your own. We had, we talked about supplier management, we talked about optimization or engineering support services. HR is always going to be heavily centralized just because of the size of the organization. I think health and safety is now going through a little bit of that transition. Yeah. As well as that, how do we make it our own? How do we get rid of the legacy from the companies that owned us, the company that owned us before, and how do we make it our own and make it appropriate to the size of the organization that you are?
Yeah, and we've got a lot of work to do, kind of standardizing and making sure that we are doing the right things through the organization. I'm happy with the way that's shaping up.
I actually think that health and safety is, the last spot where there isn't clarity amongst the sites on who does what, how do we execute, what rules, what principles do we follow. I mean, everyone, don't get me wrong, everyone understands that we're in a sour environment, high pressure environment, and we have to be conservative in our actions. It's just, failures are catastrophic. We can't afford failures.
The problem that arises from those instances, I've hopefully everyone in the field is very aware that I don't want to tolerate that behavior where we're not going to follow the rules because it's not expedient.
Right.
I've been pretty clear in my messaging. I hope, I think I'm quoted on documents that are out in the field right now. We have rules and there's safety things in place. We can protect ourselves if we follow, the course of action that we're supposed to follow when we go into a vessel or open up a valve. I guess my experience in the field is I'm very sensitive to the pressures and the H2S. I'm still a little bit nervous, right?
Yeah.
I haven't
I think
lost.
everyone should be.
I haven't lost my nervousness when I go into like a compressor site, a high pressure situation with 20% H2S.
Yeah.
That I'm aware. I'm aware, and I think when you do it day after day after day, it becomes. You can't be in that heightened state of awareness, but we still, before I do this, I should take a look at what are the procedures here. I really want people to do that because, I think with the procedures and the equipment we have in place, we can be a safe industry, but you have to follow the procedures.
So I hope I didn't misspeak. I think there's a common understanding that we are going to operate safe and we're not going to tolerate violations of basic safety rules. I think where I was trying to go earlier, and I don't know if I captured that right, is the systems and the philosophy that's going to execute our safety program is where they come from. How do we execute it?
Right.
Who has what role in that? And what's the upper ground? What's the high ground that we're going for?
Yeah.
And I think that's where I think that's the last bit
right.
that we still have to
and
work
what, if I maybe paraphrase for you, where you're headed there is it's throughout the organization we're looking at optimizing.
Mm-hmm.
Health and safety has been the one piece that we haven't really looked at optimizing.
Yeah.
But we are thinking about it, and the reason why you may have 3 different opinions on how to move about the organization from a health and safety perspective is they haven't had the time to sit down and go through, okay, is this really what we want to try to accomplish here? Right. And that is the final stage. We don't want to start messing with health and safety when we've got other things on the go. We felt that we're fairly safe in our organization with the procedures we had in place. Right. Is there room to improve? Absolutely. There's always room to improve, but we didn't want to compromise that on the way to doing other things. So we've maintained a very rigid health and safety program throughout the organization. We're now being pressured from the organization up. Is this right? Should we, can we optimize here? And we're open to that. We're open to looking at that as long as there's consensus and we really think about the risk.
That's really where I was trying to go with it, is that you said it much better than my question belied it to be, but it's exactly that, is that, that's the last area I think that that can be reviewed and make sure that we're doing it right and the best that we can. Yeah. We have the best systems that we can.
We've had cases where, we've been challenged that we operate, we're not operating safely enough. I'm open to hearing that feedback directly and investigating it. But so far, I think we've done a pretty good job. I think the tools are in place to operate very safely if we follow the tools that we've been given.
So what's your organization has gone through a fundamental change in the last few years. I mean, it's remarkable from 3 years ago to today. If you were from the outside and visited and then came back today. And so when you see it every day, you might not see the change, but if you're out for a year, it's huge.
Right.
What are your challenges right now? What are you aiming for in the next 12 months or so? And what
I'm personally on a mission to get the organization in a place where not just the field, but the Calgary office is really clicking. and moving people and making sure the people throughout the organization are supported. If you're looking for advancement, I want our organization to be a place where you can see advancement coming. I don't want people to feel like they're stalled out or stuck. So we're going to have a lot of conversations over the next year about, okay, here's where you are. Are you happy here, or are you looking for something?
So on an individual level.
On an individual level, yeah. We want to get down into the organization on an individual level to make sure that, we're offering the opportunities for growth, because the company will grow. Right. This is the next phase. We're on a mission to, survive. We're surviving. We're doing okay when you think about where the price of natural gas is today. But that next evolution really requires people to see, this is somewhere, this is a career, and this is a place where I can grow as an individual along with the company. So my focus over the next 12 to 18 months is making sure that people have the tools in place to kind of grow with the organization. And we as an ELT have made that commitment, and we currently have a program that's being rolled out to kind of the next layer of management. Again, I'm not going to drive all that work.
Right.
We're hoping that people drive it from the bottom up, but we're opening up the opportunity for that. Because I don't want the company to be stagnant. You can't move the company. The company can't grow if the people can't grow with it.
That's a world of change from the challenges of 18 months ago.
Yeah, absolutely. We had some very challenging situation to kind of get through. We knew it was going to be a grind.
Yeah.
It was always going to be a grind. My prior experience was a consultant on receivership files, where I'd be brought in to do exactly what we've done here, on just a much shorter time frame, right?
Yeah.
My job was, let's fix this thing up to get it to a point where somebody might want to take it over, right? Here we're fixing it up for growth, which is a much more fun thing to do. The thing I didn't like about consulting is I would come in, do these things, get things kind of rolling, and then I'd be gone off to another one.
Right.
Which is why I, kind of gave up the consulting to come back into an organization. Again, I like the connections. I want to grow with the company. I've got a lot to learn yet. Like, I learn every day here. This has been a really fascinating job after 40 years. This has been fascinating. Trying to see and learn. I learned something today. I learn every day on this job, which is great, right? So,
I love the fact that the three sites have such different cultures, and neither is good or bad, right or wrong, appropriate or inappropriate. It's just three different ways of operating their facilities.
Yeah,
and they're all turning into excellent methodologies, and it's just fun and interesting to see in their own right how they execute against that.
I was very fortunate that I didn't come in as a COO. I was able to come in as the operations manager,
right,
and build those relationships that I really find important for me to succeed with the leadership, the field leadership. I had a lot more time when I first started in the organization to be more present with the field. And again, like I said at the very beginning of this, I had a reluctance to keep going into the organization because I really like that connection. But the organization needed somebody to step up. That's kind of always been my motto is, okay, I guess I'll do it, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I've done my career is, that needs to get done. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but I'm willing to try it and do it. And
well, I know you're going to hear from me. You've had relentless pressure since day one to spend time in the field.
Yes, absolutely.
it'll never end, and it doesn't matter
No, and
how often you go up there. It'll constantly be there because it's just so well received. But
yeah, and recently one of the last times, not in the last time, but in a recent event where I was out in the field, and we actually came out as an ELT, and what struck me was there was a comment about, it'd be nice if you came out and you shook our hands and said hello, and I didn't speak up then, and I probably should have, because here's what I want to say to anyone in the organization who thought that. You basically have a group, an ELT, that we're I'm quite introverted. Like, I come out and I can speak to a crowd of people. I have an easier time speaking to a crowd of people I can speak to 200. I could speak into an auditorium of 500 people. It's less personal. Yeah. But for me to walk up to a group of 5 individuals and implant myself into a conversation, I really struggle with that. Like, so if you want me to speak to you, invite me in, and I will speak. Yeah. But I'm still such an introvert in that way, and I feel bad because of that comment. It's not that I don't want to connect. I do. Yeah. I really want to connect, and I can connect on a lot of different levels because I've had the fortunate experience that a lot of these positions I've done or spent time, right? I've been on the wrench, and I've been on the back of a wireline truck, and I've done all the things that build up into a career from the field up. So I can connect, but it's hard for me to make a connection if I've got to step into, like, I don't know how you do it, like how you can walk into a control room and sit down and start socializing. For me, that's very challenging. So, and I think, I won't speak on behalf of the ELT, but I think that could be, if you want to forgive us for anything, forgive us for potentially being introverts, because literally I go to a room full of strangers and I'm unlikely to move out into the center and make a big deal. Like,
fair enough.
Jeff and you both had to work on me to get me to come here today, because I prefer to just stay out of the lights, like I do. Like,
fair enough.
So yeah, if anybody in the field that gets this message, it's like, you come approach me, I'm very talkative, I'll talk to you, but I have a hard time making that first step too.
So I was talking to your superintendent from a site just down the road here, nearby, and we talked about a recent meeting that, town hall that you had, and we were chatting back and forth, and I said, it's got to kind of go both ways, though. You want them to come out and chat and give the corporate message, but you need to deliver back. And I don't know if this has been circled back to you, but you will be invited. You're not expected to show up, but you'll be invited to their monthly safety communications meeting that they have. But as part of that meeting is that one of the hourly guys is going to talk about the project of the day.
Oh, that's so.
And so some optimization that he had done, or some find that they had found, or some win, and they're going to present it. So whether you attend or not, they're going to start feeding back internally.
Awesome.
And then the expectation is, or their hope is rather, that the LT or you will certainly show up on them quarterly.
Right.
In which case then they're going to do 3 or 4.
Okay.
And that's just going to be, that's not just part of the agenda.
Right.
So who are the guys that found the wins, that got that did the neat stuff, the different stuff, and then that's the quid pro quo.
Right on.
And what was more interesting about that, while I was encouraging him to prepare for a business review or get guys engaged, that was their solution, not mine.
Awesome.
Look, why don't we just set this up as this is business as usual, and we'll trade information back and forth. And now, John, I'm going to take away your excuses, because a lot of the guys that will be speaking at those are serious introverts.
Yeah, absolutely. So no, I get it. That's hard to do.
They're going to be there and uncomfortable as well.
Okay.
And so from the get go, but I always think that makes it fun and interesting anyway. Just then the realism comes out, the credibility comes out.
Great.
If you go up there to spin a yarn, then people read that from a mile away, and you don't get that. I believed right from day one that your organization has been sitting on a gold mine. Whether it's data center development or the amount of sulfur that's available to you, or the size of the reserves that are potential reserves that you have under your sites. The carbon capture opportunities that you might have. Big projects might be a ways away, may or may not come to fruition. But I've always been excited. I've always been excited right from day one at the potential. And we knew we had this massive mountain to climb before we could start getting really excited about all the secondary stuff and all the stuff to maintain. And honestly, I feel at this point, we've kind of hit that point. We're back to stable operations. The plants are, I shouldn't be saying this, the plants are running well. People are focused and interested. They see a future, chasing opportunities. And yet we have all these other gold mines still available to us.
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting when we looked to do a rebrand recently.
Yeah.
I believe one of the suggestions in that suggestion box when we're in the conversation was a unicorn. And in a way we are somewhat unique in the industry now, certainly in Alberta, in terms of what we have, what our advantages are different than the rest of the herd. So there's an opportunity in that is we can stand out and we won't have obstacles in our way, that prevent us from moving forward in a way that we want to move forward. We don't have the advantages of big Montney play, but we don't have the competition of a big Montney player.
Right.
So in that, there's an opportunity that we're hoping to exploit as we go forward. So, I like what we've done. I like the people that we have in the organization. I like to think about where we're going, and I really like the growth that we can provide for people in our organization over the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, it's a great way to wrap things up. I'm with you. I'm excited about the future. I'm more excited now than I ever have been. And we see the future coming. And
we got through some very difficult times as an organization, and credit to the people that have hung in with the organization. Yeah. Hopefully there's a reward coming for that. Yeah. So I'm pretty happy with where we're at.
Well, thanks again. Thanks for coming in. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Run It Like You Own It podcast with Wouter D'Ailly. Visit forefrontperformance.com or find us on social media at forefront.performance.